lambda. The wavelength is measured angstroms, meters, centimeters also. The spectrum is nothing but a 7 colors band is called as the spectrum. A collective number of colors is called as the spectrum. The maximum number of colors can be gathered in a particular band, that is called the spectrum. But you learn for the light chapter. You know, for the light chapter, especially POLYCET aspirants, it is a prism. Whenever the white light entered into the prism, it occurs the dispersion, it occurs the refraction, and then it releases to the 7 colors band. Dispersion and scattering of light, how many colors can be deviated into a 7 colors band can be deviated. How many colors are there? 7 colors are there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Spectrum in the sense the group of wavelength or group of colors is called the wavelength. Now in this color, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. How many colors are there? 7 colors are there. The 7 colors band is called the spectrum. Now in this spectrum, different types of wavelengths are there. Now here the two conditions are there: visible spectrum, invisible spectrum. What is that? Here UV rays and IR rays, those are called invisible spectrum. UV and IR is the ultraviolet rays and infrared rays. In between visible spectrum is available in between UV rays and IR rays. This is called completely visible spectrum. What is that here? Visible spectrum. Visible spectrum in the sense, this is the 7 colors band is called as the visible spectrum. In the visible spectrum, how many colors are there? Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. This is the visible spectrum, to idea about it here. This is the visible spectrum. In this spectrum, here we are clearly identified. Please, my dear competitive aspirant, look and watch here. So here ultraviolet rays are there, here infrared rays are there. In between UV rays and IR rays, not visible the color, we are changing the another color. It is the visible. Okay. Which color? Black color is visible. Here UV rays and IR rays are there. Here UV mean ultraviolet rays are there. IR rays mean infrared rays are there. In between in these two colors to form a visible spectrum. Visible spectrum in the sense the 7 colors band, that is called as VBGR. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. This is the 7 colors band can represented as the spectrum. Now here, look here. Here gamma rays are there, X rays are there, radio frequency rays are there, FM radiation, TV, short waves, AM. That is very, very important. And what you are understanding, in this frequency, the wavelengths can be changes. The X-ray wavelength is 1.1 into 10 to the power of minus 12. Gamma rays is nothing but 1 into 10 to the power of minus 14. That is the wavelength of the gamma rays. 1 into the wavelength of the gamma rays. Please remember that the wavelength of the gamma rays. The wavelength of the gamma rays is 1 into 10 to the power of 14 meters. 1 into 10 to the power of 14 meters. That is very, very important. That is a minus 14. Please remember that. After that, X-rays. Who is invented by X-rays? X-rays was invented by Rontgen. The first Nobel Prize here. X-rays was invented by Rontgen. X-rays wavelength is 1 into 10 to the power of minus 12 meters. 1 into 10 to the power of minus 12 meters. And that ultraviolet rays here. Ultraviolet rays mean UV rays. UV rays. Who is invented by the UV rays? Ritter. UV rays was invented by Ritter. Its wavelength is 1 into 10 to the power of minus 8 meters. 1 into 10 to the power of 8 meters are there. The next one, IR rays, infrared rays. Who is invented by infrared rays? Infrared rays was invented by Aristotle. Please remember that value is 1 into 10 to the power of minus 4 meters. In between UV and IR, in between UV rays and IR rays to form complete visible spectrum or visible light. Okay, it's wavelength. After that, radio and TV, that is another one here. So now in the spectrum in the sense group of wavelength. The group of wavelength mean, for the wavelength of red color, the highest wavelength, red, wavelength of red. Gurtupeట్టుకోండి sir, very very important sir. Wavelength of red color 7700 angstroms. The unit of wavelength is angstroms. Please remember that 7700 angstroms to 7500 angstroms. 7700 angstroms to 7500 angstroms. That is the wavelength of the red color. Now the wavelength of the green color. The wavelength of the green color is very very important. 5550 angstroms are there. It is the wavelength of the green color. So the maximum wavelength is the red color. The different types of frequencies is having the different types of wavelengths are there. So gamma rays are there. Gamma rays are very powerful rays, are nowadays using for the radioactivity series to control and prevent the cancer disease with help of the gamma rays. Gamma rays are more penetrating power. Please remember that gamma rays are very very important bit, examination bit sir. Gamma rays are very very important sir. Gamma rays, the velocity of gamma rays equal to velocity of light. Please remember that gamma rays. So ఒకసారి చూడండి sir, gamma rays అన్నారు sir. Gamma. So gamma rays is nothing but velocity of light and velocity of light. So nothing but gamma rays. X-rays is also X-rays also equal to velocity of light. Velocity of light. What is the velocity of light? 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. Now please try to catch the matter. In the two factors are very important. Here very clearly explain the gamma rays are there, X-rays are there. These gamma rays and X-rays. These gamma rays and X-rays are very powerful rays. Both are equal to velocity of light. It has the more penetrating power. Penetrating means chochukoni poye lakshanam. Is used to the defect of the cancer disease. The gamma rays are used to whenever a person suffering from the cancer to control with help of the gamma rays. And the X-rays is new, very well. X-rays was discovered by Rontgen. That is very important. They secured the first Nobel Prize in the physics here. Rontgen is a great scientist to discover by X-rays. Now these both rays are moving to velocity of light. What is the value of velocity of light? Is 3 into 10 power 8. Gamma